Hey everybody, Quackers Clocks here. It is Thursday, which means another set of NFL predictions. This time it's preseason week 2. Technically it's week 1, mainly because of the Hall of Fame game, but Hall of Fame game I count as week 1, so yep. Anyway, week 2, here we go. So tonight we open with the New York Giants taking on the New England Patriots. And I'm going to say New England is going to win. I know that New England isn't trying to use all their starters tonight, and the Giants are. So I think they're pretty screwed if you ask me. Anyway, I'm going to be picking the Patriots to win. And if I get that wrong, so help me God. Anyway. Alright, next game here. We also open up tonight with the Tennessee Titans taking on the Baltimore Ravens. And I'm going to say the Titans are going to win because of past experiences with the Ravens. I know the Ravens beat the Titans in the wild card in 2020. But past playoffs, I think the Titans have a better roster. Definitely, if they start Derrick Henry, then they'll be fine. And the Ravens, they're coming off of injury, pretty much. So, I think the Titans have a long shot to win. I'm not doing score predictions because, those are pretty hard. So, those are pretty hard to decipher. Anyway, next game here. The Atlanta Falcons taking on the Detroit Lions. And I'm going to say the Falcons are going to win. Dan Campbell is still doing all right as a head coach. They don't really have any quarterbacks besides David Blau. And that's it. Jared Goff. So, yeah, I'm going to be picking... Actually, I'm actually going to be picking the Lions because they do have a good team around them. They have all the grit and necessities to win. The Falcons, they're working on it. I hope Drake London does very well. Hopefully he does start tomorrow night. But I'm going to be picking the Detroit Lions. Because, the Falcons are actually notorious for choking. And speaking of that, James White announced his retirement from the NFL today. After 8 years in the league, he saved the Patriots in Super Bowl 51. So, I wish him well. Anyways, I'm picking the Lions. Even though I don't really want to, I have to. Because I preferably don't want to pick the Falcons. The Cleveland Browns taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars tomorrow night. This is going to be the Browns to win. The Jags... The Jags aren't really convincing to me, despite hiring Doug Peterson as their head coach. We'll have to see in the regular season how he does. But they've had the number 1 overall pick 2 years in a row. And having 2 head coaches. First was Doug Marrone, and then the other one was Urban Meyer, and then Darrell Bevell, I think, became the interim head coach, but I'm not exactly sure. But then they hired Peterson, and he was very sketchy with the Eagles in 2020. So, I'm not exactly sure how he's going to do, But the Browns, they're expected to start Deshaun Watson. He can play in preseason games, but not in regular season games. Because he's been suspended by the league for 6 games, but they're going to try and appeal that due to the the sexual allegations against him with some massage therapists. Don't mind my Discord notifications. That's from a server. I can't control those. Anyway, I can, but, I'm going to do that after I stop recording. The Browns did play the Jaguars last preseason. The infamous Tim Tebow block. He was so bad at tight end. He doesn't know how to play tight end. That's the thing. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm picking the Browns to beat the Jaguars for this matchup, by the way. The New York Jets taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. Another headline, speaking of the Jets are signing offensive tackle Dwayne Brown to a 2-year contract. Former Seahawks and Texans offensive tackle. So yeah, that'll be a good asset to their offensive line, despite losing Mekhi Becton for the year. He keeps getting injured, man. Every single year, he keeps getting injured. Anyway, the Jets are playing the Eagles tomorrow night. And I'm going to be picking the Eagles. The Jets are not very convincing. They never have been. Despite any of their roster moves, they haven't been to the playoffs since 2011. With Mark Sanchez, and that's it. And all he's known for in that city is the butt fumble. Man, if you start Joe Flacco, you're fucked. Like, absolutely fucked. Anyway, I'm picking the Eagles to beat the Jets. Yeah. The Arizona Cardinals are taking on the Cincinnati Bengals, who just renamed their stadium Paycor Stadium. Which was stupid because Paul Brown founded that team. And the estate of Paul Brown said, "Nope, we're not gonna take your naming rights deal anymore. We're gonna give it all to Paycor." Because, they have a strong reputation in the city of Cincinnati. Stupid. Anyways, I'm going to be picking the Cardinals. It's going to be a very close game. The Cardinals have a better roster than they did last year. They did trade for Marquise Brown during the draft. The Bengals do have a good roster ahead of them, but I think the Cardinals have a better shot. Plus, the Bengals do play the Rams again. Rematching Super Bowl 56. So, in this preseason. So, I'm picking the Cardinals. I don't think the Bengals are going 0-3 in the preseason, but they're going to lose this one to the Cardinals. The Green Bay Packers taking on the San Francisco 49ers. This is all tomorrow. I'm going to be picking the 49ers, mainly because of the history behind the two teams in the playoffs. The 49ers are going to go ahead with Trey Lance as their starter. The Packers still have Aaron Rodgers, but he's not going to be starting. They're going to be starting Jordan Love, who's kind of raw, but I think he could have some potential in the league if, Aaron Rodgers got vaccinated and, he didn't come down with COVID. I came down with COVID. So, I'm picking the 49ers because of the history between these two teams in the playoffs. And if the Packers win, then that'll be a shocker to me. But I think the 49ers are going to win this game against the Packers. The Packers are not very convincing when it comes to Super Bowl titles. They call themselves Title Town, but, where are the titles? Oh, yeah, you won the first title in 1967. And in 1968 against the Raiders. And in 2010 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. But you haven't made a Super Bowl since then. So, yeah. I'm picking the 49ers to beat the Packers. Packers aren't very convincing, but they'll probably have a 13-win season, make the playoffs, and then choke in the middle of it. The Carolina Panthers taking on the Washington Commanders. That's the first time I've ever said the new name of the Washington football team on this prediction series. The Washington Commanders. I'm going to be picking the Panthers. If they start Baker Mayfield, then I think they're going to go. I think if they're going to start Baker Mayfield on Saturday, I think they're going to beat the Commanders. But the Commanders have a few quarterbacks on their roster that I like. Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is a dark horse for this season. And I think Taylor Heineke is good. And I also think Sam Howell could also make an impact on the field as well. They drafted him out of North Carolina last year, in this past draft in the 5th round, which surprised me because there were no quarterbacks taken in the 2nd round. But in the 3rd round, the Falcons took Desmond Ridder, and the Titans took Malik Willis, which was kind of surprising considering they have Ryan Tannehill locked up for a big contract. But anyways, I'm getting off track. I'm going to be picking the Panthers. Even though the Commanders could win this game, I think they could. I think the Panthers could win. This is only the preseason, so hopefully I get at least more than half right here. But I'm picking the Panthers. They're a dark horse, but I think they're going 5-12. I'm sorry. I have to root for my home team here, Kansas City Chiefs. Taking on the Chicago Bears. My best friend's a Bears fan, since he grew up in the area. But one of my best friends is a Bears fan from high school. So this is a big matchup between the Chiefs and the Bears. But I am going to be picking the Chiefs. Sorry, Nathan. I'm sorry. I can't pick the Bears. The Bears suck. Roquan Smith requested a trade. Stupid Roquan Smith. He was like, oh, the front office, they treat me like shit. Well, here's the thing. The Bears don't have any good front office people to support you. That's why you requested the fucking trade. Roquan Smith, man. Once he's gone, then Robert Quinn is also going to go. Come on, Discord. Why are you doing this to me during the middle of a predictions video? Anyway. I should have turned my notifications off, but, there's nothing you can do about that. I'm not doing it in the middle of a video, is what I'm saying. But I am picking the Chiefs. Sorry, Nathan. Your team sucks. You're going 5-12. That's the floor, by the way. The ceiling is probably like 8-9. But yeah, your team sucks. Sorry, man. I'm picking the Chiefs. The Indianapolis Colts take on the Buffalo Bills at Highmark Stadium. I'm going to start doing that during the regular season. Like naming the stadiums. I'm going to do it for the regular season, but the preseason I'm kind of lacking on. So, anyway, I'm picking the Colts. The Colts did beat the Bills last year in the regular season, and the Colts have a better running back than the Bills. Jonathan Taylor. Did you see his rushing yards last year? More than 2,000. A little bit less than 2,000. Nearly 2,000 rushing yards. He led the league in rushing yards when Derrick Henry was out with injury. Derrick Henry led the league in 2020. Jonathan Taylor stepped up, and he led the league in rushing in 2021. He is a god. Despite, this being his third year in the league, I like Jonathan Taylor a lot. So, I'm picking the Colts. Jonathan Taylor could start. I'm not exactly sure, but if he does, he's going to run all over that Bills defense. I'm sorry. Even if it's at home, I think the Colts are beating the Bills. Even though the Bills are a better team than the Colts have Jonathan Taylor. So, anyway, I'm picking the Colts to beat the Bills. The Seattle Seahawks taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I'm going to be picking the Steelers. The Seahawks did trade away Russell Wilson to the Denver Broncos this past offseason. And yeah, their quarterback room is not very great. They have, let's see, who do they have? Geno Smith, Jacob Eason, and some other guy. And Drew Lock. That's it. None of those guys are good. So yeah, the Steelers, yeah. Plus Trubisky starting, so hometown guy. I'm rooting for Trubisky there. I mean, I don't particularly like Mitch Trubisky as an NFL player, but he's a hometown guy. He's from where I grew up. I didn't actually grow up in Mentor, but he grew up in the Cleveland area. So, yeah. I'm picking the Steelers. The Miami Dolphins taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going to be picking the Bucs. I mean, even though Tom Brady's not starting, they're probably going to be starting Blaine Gabbert or Kyle Trask. But Trask was really good in college. So don't underestimate Kyle Trask because he hasn't seen an NFL field. He hasn't seen an NFL field at all, but Trask was really good in college. He went to Florida. He was really good. Florida had a winning record with Trask, and I think that the Bucs are going to win, even though Tom Brady's not playing. He's not playing this week. He's playing next week, apparently, according to some sources. Probably Mike Garafolo or somebody, But anyways, I'm picking the Bucs. I mean, the Dolphins, they did acquire my guy Tyreek Hill. I'm still livid about it, but I wish him well in Miami. He grew up in the area. It fits. But I'm going to miss Tyreek. and Demarcus Robinson and Byron Pringle, despite all his bullshit in the offseason, getting arrested and stuff. But yeah, he's not my problem anymore. He's the Bears' problem. So yeah, anyway, I'm picking the Bucs to beat the Dolphins. Rematch of Monday Night Football in 2019. This was the very first game with the new Monday Night Football screen graphics, whatever you want to call it. The Saints, the New Orleans Saints, and the Houston Texans. But I'm not exactly sure. They're probably going to be starting Davis Mills, but I think the Saints are going to beat the Texans. The Texans aren't a very convincing team. They've been 4-13 the last few. They've been 8-25 the past 2 seasons. Even with Bill O'Brien and Romeo Crennel. Romeo Crennel's retired, by the way. He was one of the oldest acting NFL coaches. At least 73 years old, and now they hired, who did they hire? Lovie Smith from Illinois. Yeah, Texans aren't very convincing, but the Saints, they do have some good QBs on their roster. Jameis Winston is one. Ian Book is another one. He was a good quarterback at Notre Dame, but the problem with him against the Dolphins last year was the picks and where he was throwing. I don't think they should have started Book, despite Jameis Winston being out and Taysom Hill going down with COVID or something. But dude could have started Taysom Hill, but he decided to have COVID, and they had to start Ian Book. But if you give Ian Book time to develop as an NFL player, then I think he'll be really good. So, yeah. If you see Taysom Hill, I think Taysom Hill... The Texans don't really have any good QBs on the roster besides Davis Mills. Davis Mills is alright. But... And who do they still have Brandon Cooks, right? I mean, he's their only good receiver. Anyway. But I'm picking the Saints to beat the Texans. Rematch from last season, the Dallas Cowboys taking on the Denver Broncos. I'm going to be picking the Broncos here, mainly because Russell Wilson is on their team. I don't really like picking division rivals as much as the next guy. Because, I didn't hate the Broncos with a passion. So, but I'm going to be picking the Broncos. The Cowboys probably won't be starting Dak Prescott. They probably will be starting Cooper Rush or Ben DiNucci. I'm not calling him Gucci DiNucci because that was a stupid nickname anyway. Or yeah, I think the Broncos are winning. They did get their offensive line isn't very convincing either. But help Russell Wilson, please. But I'm picking the Broncos to beat the Cowboys here. I mean, these preseason games don't really matter unless you're the Browns in 2017, where you go 3-0 in the preseason. 4-0 in the preseason, and then you lose all your 16 regular season games. The Jets were very close to doing that, too. But they had to beat the Rams and the Browns. So, here's the battle for LA. The Rams taking on the Chargers. I'm going to be picking the Rams. The Rams have a better roster. I mean, the Chargers are a very convincing team. They do have good receivers. They did get J.C. Jackson during the free agency period. They do have some good key pieces to their offense as well as their defense. Asante Samuel Jr. coming in his second year. I think the Chargers have a chance, but I think the Rams have a better team. They just did come off a Super Bowl. So yeah, I'm picking the Rams to beat the Chargers here. And lastly, game number 16 of week 2 of the preseason. The Minnesota Vikings taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. I believe the Raiders are going to be winning this game. The Vikings have to convince me that they're good, because they're not really. Even with Zimmer was holding them back anyway. They just hired former Rams OC Kevin O'Connell as their head coach. They have Justin Jefferson. I mean, their QB room is okay. I mean, they have that kid from Texas Tech that I forget his name. Or was it Texas A&M? I'm sorry. Who did they get in the third round in 2021? I forget. But that kid from Texas A&M. And as for the Raiders, they did trade for wide receiver Devontae Adams. He's going to make a big impact on their field. He's going to be their Amari Cooper, pretty much. Plus, that Fresno State pipeline between Derek Carr and Devontae Adams is going to be really good, too. So, I'm picking the Raiders. I mean, they have a better team than the Vikings. So, yeah. Anyways, we'll see you guys next week for preseason week 3 predictions. Goodbye.